this shirt courtesy of my grandmother. This is Beulah's, from Beulah's Closet. She was a fashion icon. Let's see. I like the little scallop seam at the bottom. Colors, I'm feeling Christmassy because I'm filming this around Christmas time. I'm drinking sangria with a little bit of Saint Germain. I add Saint Germain to everything, and I'm drinking with a straw because I don't want to mess up my lipstick. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but cheers. Hi, I'm Megan Monroe. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for chilling. This is just a chit chat, catch up, not a get ready with me. I'm always getting ready. Sometimes I just want to chill. So I'll just go through what we have going on though. My little strawberries. These are from none other than yours truly, getglam.com. I like quirky statement things that just draw your attention and then you have a little conversation. That is what my jewelry collection gives. Like, I have some quintessential gold classic pieces, but the majority of the collection will be like quirky, one of a kind. Like, there'll only be one, just really, really, really different stuff. We have tons of earrings, we'll have necklaces. You know, I'm a girl who does a lot of things, and statement pieces are a must. They just are great. Like, you have to have statements, and then you mix it with a little piece of classic. So even I have the earrings, that's pizzazz. I have the top, that's pizzazz. Then I have these green pants. Yes, I'm feeling festive. I just literally just threw this together like right now. So why are we here? Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard, I've retired. Yes, so I just wanted to kind of go into my journey, how I got here, and possibly where I'm going. I'm really excited. 2021, I don't think it was what it was supposed to be for nobody. I think we went into 2019 like, oh, this is cute, and then COVID came and it rocked everyone's world. We lost a lot of people, and just kind of recalibrating to life, things are different, and my industry changed for not the better but for the better. I think it just happened at the right time. So welcome. First and foremost, let's do a cheers toast. Again, I'm drinking sangria out of the box. It's my fave. And Saint Germain. I like Saint Germain and everything. It just makes it sweeter, daintier, stronger. What was that? Yeah, what was that? So let's get into this gig, darling. We are here today. This is just like, I feel like the few videos that I've done have been so instructional that I want to take time to, let's get to know each other. And I said we were doing a toast, and we will. You know, I started out talking about COVID hit, and I think we all were just itching for life to get back to exactly how it was. And the world was like, that's not what this is about to be. We not bringing none of that old toxic stuff into this new world order. So 2021 was like it wasn't fun. Let's just say that. I'm not gonna say it wasn't good, but it wasn't fun. But we're here at the end of the year. I survived. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you survived. Let's cheers to the people who did not make it here with us. We will forever love you. We will cherish you. We were blessed to be in your presence. Cheers. To carrying on the torch in your name. Again, I have a new understanding of a lot of things that I didn't, and we will touch on those. It has a lot to do with self-discovery, a journey into the soul, into the self, and I kind of want to talk about it a little bit, like, so we'll get into it. Cheers. So, the title of this video, why I quit. I quit, you know. I can't curse. I'm not gonna curse because I don't want to get, you know. So, if you don't know me, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Megan Monroe. I was a full-time hairstylist, salon owner, virgin hair distributor, among a myriad of other things. And yes, how did we get here? How did I get there? Let's go back to the beginning. My first experience with hair was when I was a little girl. I am a girly girl. I love dolls. I love Barbie dolls. And I just remember my earliest discovery with hair was I had Barbies, and my mom had she had curly hair, and she had those plug-in little bitty curling irons, and I'm like, that'll fit my Barbie's hair. And she left one on one time, and I'm like, well, yeah, I just pop a curl on my Barbie's hair, and baby, that thing came straight off, the whole curl, everything. And I'm like, discovery, this isn't real hair. Well, what's fake hair? Excuse me. And from there, ever since I was a little girl, I've been able to do hair. I learned how to braid on a Kenya doll when I was maybe like 9. I taught myself, and I remember as early as like the 6th grade doing my hair. Like, I always did my own hair, if it was twisties and slick backs and gel downs and ponytails, all of the above. Cool. Earliest of 6th grade, that's when I started again experimenting with my own hair. In doing my friend's hair. I could braid. Everybody couldn't braid, so then I started doing micro braids. Micro braids were a thing. I did my own, and that led into people asking me to do theirs. Sure, I would charge like maybe $20 for micro braids. So that kind of sparked the trajectory, and then on my way through middle school and high school, straw sets were a thing then. We would literally go get straws from like, oh yes, I'm feeling real old for like. So yes, straw sets were a thing then, and we would literally go to Jack in the Box because they had the best straws. They had the fattest straws. We didn't want the really small ones because they had more work to do, but we wore straw curls, meaning we would cut the straws in 3s and do like a roller set with them, and you would have like this little tight curly fro. Don't ask. I hope that never comes back. So we started doing perm rod sets, ponytails, and I became the girl that could do hair. I did a few of my friends' aunties' hair. I did some of my teachers would come and get their hair done. I started doing like relaxers. I didn't do too much color, but there were so many people coming in and out of my grandparents' house that my grandfather was like, I'm tired of you tracking hair through my house. So he took the sink in the basement that was just a sink but like the washer and dryer to pour into, put a hose on it, one you just get from like, you know, grandpa's at the time, and he got me like one of those plastic roll around stations, and he put an electrical strip, like he's like screwed it, like nailed it into it, and got a mirror from like the Goodwill and set me up a station in the basement. And that is where the journey began. Like I was popping, I was doing braids, I was doing boy braids. I had this one boy, I'll never forget him because he was a creative. He was so creative, and he could like dance and stuff, and he wore braids, and he had a notebook that he would draw out his braid designs, and he would ask me to do it, and I would do it. I would do it. It would be like all this intricate crazy stuff, words, all kind of stuff. He had a notebook of designs, and we would pick one out. My cousin, my sister, Kobe would press them out first, so she had to press the comb up in the kitchen, and they would come downstairs to the basement and get it braided. And I was popping. Like, I was rich in high school. We would go to Forever 21. Okay, never mind. But yes, that is where my hustle began. And I was an only child. I grew up in a rather big family, but just having a single mom, regardless if she said it or not, I felt the pressure of, we don't have money for miscellaneous things, we don't have money for shopping and this, that, and the third, so I just gotta get it myself. Like, it's not like she ever just said no, at least not to my knowledge. But you know, parents know how have a way of making it feel like don't ask for nothing. So I'm like, I'm not. And that started that hustle mentality in me. Like, I don't have to ask anybody for this. I could just do somebody's hair, go down to West Seal, Forever 21, and ball out. And especially Old Navy. Old Navy was one. I'm sorry I'm messing with my bang. So yes, that in high school started it all. Now, I did work a few jobs. I worked a few jobs like Abercrombie, Hollister, but baby, that check was spent. All my checks are spent before I get. I'm an Aquarius, don't shoot me. Oh, my bang is floofing. That's the thing about real hair, baby. She look good in pictures. Weave don't let you down. No. So that brings me to Nashville. I went to Tennessee State University for many years. I did not complete her. I wanted to be a lawyer. I like to debate. I wouldn't say I like to argue, but I have like this curiosity in me that I want to understand, why do you feel so passionately about what you feel? And I'm going to try to poke holes into what you believe, and I feel like, oh, you didn't know anything after all. So I wanted to be a lawyer. And originally my major was political science, which was all about politics of the world. And when I got to a particular professor, I'll never forget her, she changed my life, Dr. Morgan Curtis. She made English fun. She was one of my English professors, and she very much broke it down to me like, you know, you'll learn law, but it's so much writing that you'll want to focus more on writing than the content of your writing. Like, you'll learn the content, but they care more about the mechanics and the, you know, the jargon and having the lexicon and just the vocabulary and everything. So I changed my major from political science to English, and I did that whole thing, like, but all the while I did hair. Hair was my thing. I was the girl who did hair in the dorm, and my roommate at the time she was like, Megan, you all over the place, let me be your receptionist. And she was. So I would give people her phone number, she would book the appointments. We had signs on the wall that said friends and credit don't mix, because it would get to the point where I have always been the girl, do my hair like this. As we're getting ready to go out, can you just braid? Can you just brush? Can you just swirl? Can you just curl? Ma'am, no. Like, no. This is, I need to get ready too. Like, no. Are you gonna pay me for this time? Because this now is my means of taking care of myself. So it isn't like it's fun. It isn't like there isn't anything I need for you to do. So it's not an even exchange. And that is where I learned very early on, oh, this is a thing. So as I'm like nearing the end of what should be graduation, I saw to my left and to my right, people are having a hard time getting jobs. Again, I had a ton of clients at this point. I'm doing like full-on sew-ins. Shout out to Coriel. She was the first sew-in I ever did ever. Shout out to my best friend, Ashley Marie Troop. She was my guinea pig for everything else. When it comes to cut, when it comes to color, when it comes to weave, when it comes to bobs. Like, she's the one where I was like, I see this thing. Let me try it. And again, I learned how to do sew-ins from a drag queen. Oh, that's another story. A drag queen taught me how to do a sew-in, and I sat and watched a friend get a sew-in in the shop, and he was a drag queen and he did drag pageants. Oh my, I lived 10,000 lives. I lived 10,000 lives. That's crazy. I'll never forget that. Like, he used the net and everything. And sure enough, I went home. This was maybe my sophomore year. I went home and would perform and dance. I lived 10 lives. So yes, in Nashville, nearing the end of college, I had this one teacher that I couldn't pass, Dr. Houston. She was the worst. She was the worst, and she was just very hard to please. Senioritis is kicking in. I'm just like, people not making money. I am making money, so let me just put this to use. And that is when I enrolled myself into Paul Mitchell the school, Nashville, the Harvard of cosmetology. Like, I already had such a natural talent that I'm like, let me go and get the best of the best when it comes to the technique of cutting and color. And if I combine that with what I naturally know how to do, then, you know, I'm like, duh. So I went to Paul Mitchell, and it was everything. It was great. My career at Paul Mitchell was everything. Learn the JPMS system. It's such a universal system that honestly you can apply it to any kind of color line. Finished that in about 2.5 years. Of course, you know, I'm going to Aquarius. I'm gonna do what I want when I want to do it. So finished that, and so of course in each and every little area you kind of create a sense of community. And my community at Paul Mitchell were, at the time, my best friend Terrence. He was just bombing doing hair. James was bombing doing hair, and Kamani bombing doing hair. Like, they were so cool. And my battery's dying again. And Kamani was from Atlanta, and her sister also was this master hairstylist, and she literally opened up a salon right down the street from Paul Mitchell. So she kind of was like, well, hey, y'all can just come and work here. And that is what we did. So I began my career at Studio J. And you know, Studio J was great for just starting out. It was cute. It was a place where I could set up shop. The aesthetic wasn't, but it was good for what it was at the time. And I worked there for about 3 years on and off, because Aquarius is gonna Aquarius. Wasn't perfect, but that is where I truly learned and honed my craft. That is where I made lifelong clients who to this day I still have done, who have traveled. And approaching like the end of my 3rd or 4th year there, this is probably like around 2008, 2009, I'm like 24, popping clientele, making great money, blowing it. But as my lease was about to end, at the time I was staying with Terrence, my gay best friend, and we had all did a bunch of living situations all together. And at the time too, I had just met Charles, and we were kind of, you know, that was my flame. And I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna renew my lease. I've been talking about going to Atlanta. I'm just gonna go. And when my lease let up, one of my very good friends, Jerry, was living there. She had just got a house, and she was like, sure, you can rent a room. And she didn't charge, she charged me little to nothing. And I literally came to Atlanta with a tub of clothes, no car. I had just crashed my car, no insurance. And Charles was kind of in between, in a weird space, and he was like, well, I'm gonna see what's out there. And he applied for jobs in Atlanta, and he actually got a job before I did. So I get to Atlanta, and there are 2 salons that I'm looking at. There was Glam Bar and there was Salon Ramsey. At the time, Twitter was just popping. And so Sabrina, if you guys are familiar with her, Sabrina was a marketing mastermind. Like, she marketed the heck out of Glam Bar. It was pink, it was pretty, it was larger than life, it matched my aesthetic and everything that I had going on. So I just knew I was going to work there. At the time, Neffy's, Keisha Cole and Neffy were a thing on TV, and her hair was a thing, and her hairstylist was a thing, and he worked there, and unfortunately he passed away. But that was just something I remember, like, yeah, I'm gonna go there and it's just gonna be bomb. I'm just gonna pop there. That was not the case. So I get to Glam Bar, and she was commission. I wasn't familiar with commission. I'm like, ain't nobody touching my money. I need all my coins. And so I went to Salon Ramsey, and then Salon Ramsey was like, chill. It was like a 3-ring circus in there. Now, it was decorated nice. It was clean, but it was like barbers and lashes and makeup and shoes and burgers and perfume. It was like the flea market of stuff. And I started there at Salon Ramsey. And Salon Ramsey was cool for me. It was no muss, no fuss. I worked directly next to a barber. And my first day working there, though, that is when I met Mingli. My like first weekend working there, something was wrong with her suite. She had her own suite, and so she popped up in the barber's chair just for the weekend because he didn't work weekends. I don't think I mentioned this. So upon getting to Atlanta, I had a few clients from Atlanta, and I knew that those people knew people who knew people, but that did not a clientele make. So I, at the time, remember I had no car, staying at a friend's place, and at the time the Megabus was a thing. It was cheap. Like, you could get a ticket on the Megabus for like $10. So I would combine, I had a really big clientele in Nashville. It was huge. So I would go back for like homecoming, and I would gather like all of my clients together in like a weekend, Friday to Sunday. And I had another friend who lived there, and she was like, yeah, you could crash in my place. So at the time, I would just rent a booth for those couple 3 days, come in, bang it out. I would make so much money, and then come back to Atlanta. Learned so many lessons again every step of the way. I remember my first time going back to Nashville, and everybody's like, yeah girl, you know, we'll be there. Yeah girl. I get on the Megabus, literally on my way, okay, I get cancellation. I was in tears. I was bawling. I was banking on that money. And that is when I first started taking deposits. Deposits weren't a thing because I lived there, and everybody kind of, you know what I'm saying, was coming regularly. But because this was a different kind of situation, I just didn't watch my own back. So that is when I installed deposits, and I knew like people wanted, you know, they just weren't going to spend their money. So if you're going to make a deposit, then you're going to come. Style Seat was brand new. They weren't even just accepting deposits yet, so I had to physically book the appointments and get the deposits. And I started doing that regularly. Again, that was a hard life because for those 3 days, I would be working like sun up to sun up. Not even sun up to sun down. Like, I would be in that salon from 7 a.m. before it even opened to like 2-3 a.m. Homecomings would be a lick because everybody want to look good, everybody want to stunt. And so yeah, I went back and forth for like my first year here, my first 2 years here, and then that is when I met Mingli. And at the time, she was popping. Instagram was different. There was no algorithm. Like, she was an it girl. And she was opening in a salon, and there were whispers going around the salon like how dope it was. And I was like, well, let me just go check it out. You know, like, we had a cordial relationship where we would speak to each other. It was strictly professional. And I went, and she was like, so, you know, I'm like, well, I want to work, because it was beautiful. It was downtown Atlanta. Again, I'm not from here, so it's like, she working downtown. Like, I knew that was going to look hot. Like, that was going to add a little bit more to what I had going on. And so at the time, she didn't even really have like a full staff. There might have been 2 people working there, and it hadn't opened yet. It was beautiful. It was plush. It was luxurious. It was girly. It was cute. And so she was really cool about that whole process. I think with everybody that kind of came together, like, I would have thought it would have been like this tough thing. She was just like, send me pictures of your work, let me see what you can do. I sent the pictures. She was like, cool. And that was how I got into style life, and it was magical. Everybody that I work with, I am mostly still friends with to this day. We had a great time. It was such a family vibe. Everybody who started there, I can say nothing but great things. Like, we had a really good time. My friend Bruce, he was like an assistant kind of moving around Salon Ramsey at the time, and I'm like, well, come with me, I'm sure she needs assistance. And he did. And yeah, like, I met so many people that, again, I still talk to this day. And I learned so much business wise. Me coming from Nashville, at the time the price of my sew-ins was like $99, and then I worked next to her. She didn't work long, but she was about her money, and she's from Detroit, so that's a whole nother different money mindset. I was a sponge. I was soaking it up. There was an opportunity, and I saw that as strictly a business opportunity. I'm going to take full advantage of it. Anytime she needed somebody, again, my first year, anytime she said I need somebody there to do my hair, what time? I'm there. I'm there. I need my name on every single one of these photo shoots, which pictures still around to this day. The vibes, the curls for the girls. I was there as a student, and I learned so much. It definitely turned, like a lot of the lessons I learned, I will never forget. I will never forget seeing her at the time. Ozzy, Makeup by Oz, was doing her makeup, and she had this ritual every day of getting her makeup like full done. Like she was about to go and be on set, and then she would take her little pictures, and then she's like, all right, I'm ready to go home. I'm like, well, what was that? And she was like, I have a business to promote. Oh, teach me. And that is where, again, you know, to see and learn and absorb that type of business acumen is priceless. I remember, like I said, sitting next to her, and I will say, she will say, her sew-ins at the time were like, subpar, but I don't think people paid for the sew-in. They paid for her because she was popping, and people in Atlanta want to say they got their hair done by the popping person. And I'm sitting next to her. She was like, she told that girl like $7.85. I said, $7.85, girl, what? And I remember being in the salon with her later that day. That is where I changed my name. She was like, yeah, you need to change your name. You need to change your prices. You need to step it up, girl. Step your pussy up. And I was like, you right, I do. And that was so uncomfortable. At the time, I was going by Megan Ashley. That's my middle name. And that day, I want to say we were either doing our own hair, she was getting her hair done, and that is when I came up with Megan Monroe. I was like, I like Marilyn Monroe, she's glamorous. And then there's the alliteration. Girls love alliteration. Everybody likes the double M. So I was like, Megan Monroe. She was like, boom. And then she was just like, you need to go up on your prices. And I'm like, you're right. And that was so uncomfortable because, you know, asking someone for like $350, $400 for a sew-in, that was wild to me. But again, it was like, I'm fast, I'm good, it's gonna last all 3 months. I did the math, and I was shortchanging myself. And that, again, from there, I was a workhorse in there. I would work from sun up to sundown. I worked there all the way into the time that I got pregnant, and I worked through my pregnancy up until I couldn't work anymore. And that is where the salon that started began to change for whatever reasons. It kind of spiraled, and it wasn't the same. And so I kind of was like, it's time to go. You know, I left. It was a little bit dramatic. It would be if it wouldn't be, though. And but I cannot say anything but thank you to her, because it definitely changed my life. It definitely changed the hairstylist and the businesswoman that I was. I just looked, and I became comfortable with talking about money. That was something that I think a lot of people need to learn, is like, I know I'm worth this. If you want me to do your hair, this is how much it costs. Don't play with me. Don't play with my money. Don't play with my time. And amongst many other things, just from marketing and promotion and just going balls to the wall. And so upon leaving Snob Life, I got a suite in Smyrna, and I decorated it, of course, super cute. And that was great. You know, it was like a no muss, no fuss again. The owner really stayed out of my hair, and I was able to do my own thing and implement things that I kind of wanted to implement in Snob Life. But I'm like, hey, that's her stuff, and I don't think this is that. So all of my people came with me, most of them, and I did that for another 2 years. And then I outgrew that space, and that is where I left off with my salon. And my salon was beautiful. It was in a like business suite operation, and I wasn't paying much more than my smaller suite, so it just made more sense to expand the square footage. And I got like all of my furniture custom. It was super Parisian and super dope, super cute. And I had enough for 3-4 other stylists. And then moving into like the ownership position, as well as selling my own hair, I sourced my own hair. I, you know, got investors and found really good hair, the hair that we are using now. I started selling hair online. I got a new baby. I got a new salon. That was a lot. And just juggling all of that, I will say home life became very stressful. I had a new baby and I was now shipping hair, and I was messing it up. And I was like, I hit my mother-in-law, and she's from Baltimore, and she's like, I'm on the way. And she quit her job. She packed up and moved to Atlanta with us. And what a lifesaver she was. I can say she saved me. She saved my business, because she also started working for the business on shipping hair, and she was helping out at home. She was doing so cute. I got custom furniture made, like custom mirrors, had chandeliers, Beyonce wall. It was a girl's dream. Like, I wanted my salon to feel like a safe haven. I wanted to feel like a glam, a she shed per se. I wanted women to just feel pretty and cute and to be able to come and relax. And I was there from, I started my lace in 2018, so I was there almost 4 years, 3.5 years, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and then there's a big chunk of the pandemic. But yeah, like, I really just put my heart and soul into decorating that space. And I had this whole dream again of expanding and getting people to come and work and pouring into them and developing talent behind the chair. And just to get people in there was such a struggle. I will say, since I come from Paul Mitchell, the school, that was such a corporate atmosphere. It was a family corporate atmosphere where they kind of like brainwash you into their whole gig. And then moving on, again, Snob Life was a family atmosphere, and I really wanted us to feel like a family. So I will say, like, once I got into my suites have been a thing for a little while now, but they weren't as big, I will say, in like maybe 2017. 2016, and now suites are the rage. You know, people want to be their own boss. They want to come and go as they please. Hell, I did it. So not everybody is looking to follow rules and do that sort of thing. So it was really hard for me to find booth runners. It was tough. It was really tough. It wasn't easy. And I got a few people in there, and it was okay. It was cool. They were really young, they were really naive, and it was a lot of energy. It was more energy than expected. And you know me, I'm like, let's set up photo shoots for you guys, let's do this, let's have marketing meetings, let's do this, let's do this. And I was more enthusiastic than they were. And I will say, booth renting is more real estate. It's less about hair. It's less about the craft. It's about collecting that money, making sure that they come in and leave and clean up. And I found myself more interested in, I find myself chasing them down for rent. I find myself making sure they take the trash out. Like, I'm like, I don't want to have to do that. And then to start a business, I will say, it's really hard. When you are a startup, you may not have, I didn't have the money. Like, we spent so much money on how beautiful it was. And I'm thinking that we're adults. Everybody should come in and manage themselves. And it wasn't that. I think if you want like a full-on Van Michael, Paul Mitchell style salon, you have to have money for an infrastructure. You have to have money for a full staff. And I ain't had it. I didn't have that, and I didn't have the time. So I realized that work isn't what I wanted. Which brings us to the pandemic. So I was kind of fine with staying there myself. I had like one consistent booth runner who was great. She was responsible, but I think she wanted something different as well. So when the pandemic hit, I think everybody was kind of like, what do you mean the world is not the world anymore? And we had to sit down. There was no getting your hair done regularly. Like, there's a new infection control protocol. I have a child. I don't want to, you know, bring anything home. Being around people, it just totally, like, the world is not the world. Many of my clients up until this point were corporate clients. They were women who go into offices, and they were very conservative. They wanted the same thing. I had developed I had developed very strict rules because, you know, after 10, 15 years in the game, you live and you learn. And I'm like, the most efficient and effective way we can do this is if y'all come the way y'all need to come, I come the way that I need to come, and we can get this thing popping. So I know the way that I like things done, and I had all these disclaimers, and everybody knew if you want Megan and DSO in, you come like this. And I'm not saying washed and this and the third, just whatever you want. Like, I only, if you're gonna get a sew in me, I use nets, no exception, because the net, whatever. I'm just saying that those people, my group of people, knew me. And let me just tell you, shout out to my clients, shout out to the day one clients, shout out to the new clients, shout out to anybody that follows me, that has followed me on this entire journey. I appreciate you. Without you, I would not be. Shout out to my friends who support me, who rock my extensions, who shout me out. I love you guys, because again, I would not be here today without you. I have had the best time with you ladies. I've had the best time sharing and growing in therapy and talking, and like, everybody knows you come to the shop, we're gonna watch documentaries, we're gonna watch fun stuff, we're gonna have great discussions, because for me, it was about the experience. It wasn't so much about the technique. It was about, I want you guys to have a good time. I don't want it to be like a boring 3-hour day of just being in the chair, and we would have a great time. So I definitely miss connecting with people, but the pandemic slowed that down, and I don't think anybody was prepared for that. So it went from, you know, we don't know what the world is gonna look like opening back up, and I in that first week I was itching, like, okay. In the second week, in the third week, like, okay, everything gonna be back to normal. Like, sure, everything gonna be fine, sure, yeah. And it did not happen in that way. Donald Trump, it did not happen the way. The world was not the world. The world is not the world. And so a month into the pandemic, we had to reacclimate ourselves with this new normal, and that is where they introduced homeschool, and then that is where they introduced, you know, working from home. And so people now are on Zoom at home, when they used to go into the office and wear their little suits and be cute and have their little silk press or their little sew-ins, and now the girls is at home on Zoom like this, and they like probably do something real quick and then they back to being in the bed. So it's like, I will say my clientele was so dope. I had been kind of prepping them, because I knew once I turned 35, 36, being a hairstylist is hard. It's hard on your body, it's hard on your mind. You know, and we'll get to that, which kind of led to this, but I have always kind of said, you know, I don't have much more of this to give. I don't have much more just energy to pour into this, because I'm tired. And my clients will be like, oh, no, shut up. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. And I believe, like, I would start saying that, and I totally believe in power of the word. I would start saying it, and the universe, I would stop promoting and stuff would dry up. But I'm like, I said that this is what I wanted. I would get scared, and it's like, promote. Come back. And I pushed it off maybe like 2 or 3 years. So during the pandemic, I really got to rest. And that rest was so needed. I don't believe I would have done it had it not been for the pandemic. And being home and being with Vivian, I really realized that me working all day and then coming home, and mind you, we had our mother-in-law with us. She did most of the cleaning. She didn't really do the cooking, but Charles is a great cook. And I was such in hustle mode all the time that I realized that I would just be like, do this, do that, go here, go there. And during the pandemic, I was like, what do you like? What are you into? What smells good to you? What tastes good to you? Like, we didn't talk to each other. I didn't talk to her. I was talking at her. And that was just beautiful, getting to know my daughter. And she's such a great human being. She's such a sweet, caring, loving, thoughtful, protective, strong. Like, she's smart. And I don't believe I would have had the opportunity to get to know her. I always would talk about the fact of like being a mom and being a hairstylist and being in the salon on Saturdays. I don't want to miss basketball games, track meets, dance recitals, cheerleading competitions. I want to be there because I'm a dancer, I'm a performer, and I know like I gotta be there. And she's now going into pandemic. She was 5, now 6, and it's like this is the time when it counts. So again, I had the booth runners who were kind of consistent, kind of inconsistent. Opening back up, I'm like, let's see what it looks like. But clients now were kind of like, well, we're in braids, girl, because we don't know if the world is going to shut down again. I can't count on this standing appointment every 2 weeks. I can't count on coming in here. And at this point, I really don't need it. Like, corporations are more accepting of braids and this and the third. So it's kind of like, I only need you once a month. So there was a decline in my money there. And so it just kind of made sense to close the shop. It wasn't feasible money-wise, and honestly, my heart wasn't in it. Mid-sewing, near the end, I would be like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I just didn't love it. It went, like, I went through a phase where I was really passionate. It's like, boom, 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 boom. And then I went into, like, robot mode, where it's like, just going through the motions, and near the end, I started to detest it, hate it. Like, I hate this. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. So being home all that time, we got to do a lot of home improvements. I realized spaces in me that were underdeveloped, and being a wife and being a boss were two hard things to consolidate. So now it's like, and around that time too, my mother-in-law, she had to leave. She had to go home and take care of her parents. So we didn't have that buffer. And it was really hard to figure that out. And it was really necessary to figure out, because at the end of the day, this is our life. This is my marriage. This is his marriage. This is my house. This is his house. This is my kid. This is his kid. And I, again, neglecting the domestic side of me for so long. I remember my grandmother would ask me, like, what are you cooking today? And I was like, lady, I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. How? And now I love it. Like, I have a whole menu, and I'm creative, so I'm good at it. And so a lot of the effort that I spent into business, I love putting that effort into my home. It is like so serene and peaceful, and it smells good, and we eat fun stuff. I'm like here for Viv. She's a full-time cheerleader. And again, it was like being a hairstylist, which shout out to the hair people who are still hustling. It was so unhealthy. I remember telling a friend recently, like, I didn't believe that I had anxiety, and now I know that I thrived in anxiety. And it was so unhealthy because I wouldn't eat, and it was very hard to eat on shop days. And I mean, like, the way that my brain operates while doing hair, it's kind of just like, have you played those time management games where, like, I don't know, a salon game where, or just those time management games where somebody comes in and then somebody else comes in, or like the cooking games. It's like, oh, okay, I gotta serve this person this, cook this, and give that person that. So my brain constantly was moving like that, and it was like, okay, somebody's coming in the morning, let me get her braided, let me get her washed, and then somebody else will come in. It's like, okay, well, let me go start her hair, and then let me go put her under the dryer, and then somebody else will come in, and it's like, okay, well, let me get her washed, and then let me go finish braiding this person, and then let me go get her started with braid, like. And then so these people are here now for hours, and the appointment takes hours. But in my brain, I'm like, I don't want to be that one where they're like, ugh, I've been here all day. And in my mind, I'm not saying they put this pressure on me, I put the pressure on myself to be like, you can't sit down, like, you got to get these people out of here. I had this like looming feeling of people, like, if I sat down or if I said, hey, I want to eat, and there were some days where I just like, can I please eat? And they're like, yeah, sure, sit. But I just felt really guilty and really bad, and there wasn't enjoying food. I'm not a meal prepper. That isn't my ministry. I cannot eat the same thing 7 days a week. I need new things, or I'm like, bleh. Like, no, I cannot eat the same thing over and over again. My body, my taste buds ain't set up like that. So it was just really hard to eat. And I would get home sometimes 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I would feel like I got hit by a bus, and I would just zonk out and then get up and do the whole thing over and over again. So again, you can imagine my body was operating like that because it was used to it, but it still was just hormone wise. I couldn't lose weight. I couldn't keep the weight off. I would lose and go up and down. I just wasn't able to be healthy, and it was mentally healthy and it was physically healthy. So again, I believe my body needed to rest. I needed to shift my energy. I needed to develop pieces of myself that were underdeveloped to be successful at home. You know, and I really sat during the pandemic and I'm like, well, what is the thing that matters most? And to me, what matters most is my family and me. And I'm like, I want to be there to see her go to prom, and I want to be there to see her get married, and I want her to see us be married and be happy, and I want her to see love, and I want her to see what it feels like to be loved, and I want her to feel a healthy, happy home that allows her to grow and to thrive. And I'm like, that means more than some business. Like, money is money and money will come and go, but the more time and effort and energy that I put over there, I get here and I'm like, I don't have nothing left. I don't have it. And so that is why this shift was necessary. And also, like, I have so many things that I'm good at that my business needed, but I'm like, oh, I should do YouTube. Like, that would be so cute. But it's like, girl, when you gonna do it? I could do fashion. I could do this. I could do that. I sew. I thrift. And the chair just took up so much time. And one thing that the pandemic taught me more than anything is that time is the most valuable commodity that we have, because you're on borrowed time, and once it's gone, you don't get it back. So I want to make sure that my time is mine. You know, it got, just being a hairstylist, your time isn't your time. And like, yeah, you make your hours, but of course they're the money making hours. And my schedule is out there for people to, you know, use at their own discretion, and that is really hard to kind of navigate. Like, I could go, like, imagine when you're in college and you have like one class in the morning and you don't have another class till like 5 o'clock at night. Like, sometimes it will be like that. Some days it will be busy back to back. So like I said, I have been doing hair for almost 15 years. It's kind of like, girl, you did that. And that's how I feel. I still have like a few people who mean something to my heart and my soul, and they heads mean something to my heart and my soul, but it is not in me to be America's Next Top Hairstylist. Like, I already was not doing the gadgets and the gadgets. I'm not doing lace fronts. I'm not doing all of that. Frontals, that's not my ministry, and I'm not about to make it my ministry. I do sell wigs still. I do still sell hair products, but again, it's like, yeah, that's a means to an end, but my passion is my family. My passion is my husband. My passion is my daughter, and I want us to be dope human beings, and I want us to live a dope life. And I don't believe that I am what I do. I will say it over and over again. Niecy Nash said that to me, and she said, you are not what you do. I am not what I do. And so many other things. And we will get to the point where we identify with money, and we identify with how much money we have, and that is not a true measurement of someone's value. That is not a true measurement of who you are. Like, there are a lot of bad people with money. So I don't want to be married to say I'm married. I want my marriage to feel good. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good mother. And me working for me, this is all me. This has nothing to do with anybody else. You do what works for you. I'm not telling you to do anything other than be you, boo. But I know for me, a lot of my ego was how I appear online, or how, you know, what my business is doing, and that's just not who I am. Like, I want a time, again, like the pandemic told us, you don't have forever with these people. I lost several close people to my life and in my family, and we don't have enough time. There isn't enough time to spend with people. So I at least want to know that I created a dope home, and like my grandmother, she created a dope space for us to grow and be healthy and love ourselves. And I want my daughter to love herself. I want my husband to love me. I want to love him. I want us each to individually love ourselves. And yeah, that's where I'm at. So this time has been peaceful. It has been relaxing. I have been able to pour into other passion projects. The creativity that I've been able to just flourish in, and actually, you know, like I said, we're in a space now where it's like I don't have the pressure on me to perform immediately. If it happens, it happens, and then I have a little bit of time to figure it out. And that's what this is for. I want to control my content. I want it to be on my time and on my terms. I will say, if you still follow me on Instagram, you will see it's a little bit different. I'm here to book these campaigns. I'm here to sell stuff. Like, that is strictly business. But personal, YouTube will be more personal, still how-tos and still reviews and fun and just so many other things. I think this is a great place to do that. And if you made it this far through my whole story, if you made it this far as a client, as a supporter, I love you. This is only the beginning. I'm really excited about this, and I hope that you are too. So thank you so much. And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Let's tell 2022, ho, don't come with the funny. Okay? Don't you do it. We ain't doing it. We not. We going into 2022 thriving, not surviving. And yeah, so cheers. Happy New Year's, happy holidays. Love on your people. Have a good time with your people. It's not about how it looks to nobody. Just have a genuine good time. Peace.